This is The Speaking Show. I'm David Newman, and you're tuned in to the #1 podcast for speakers, consultants, and experts who want to speak more profitably. Marketing plan? You want a marketing plan? Oh my gosh, are you in the right place? My guest, the awesome and amazing Mostafa Hosseini, is here from Persyo. Mustafa, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So I have a little bit of a rant to start us off because there are people who write a business plan and they even enter these business plans in these business plan competitions, and they think that this business plan is the blueprint for success. And tell us how a marketing plan is different than a business plan. And then tell us what's wrong with most marketing plans.
Okay, so there are people who create marketing plans or business plans and they never actually use it. That's like 98% of people. And the other issue with that is that they create complicated plans. It's like pages and pages. They pay 5 or 6 figures to a company to create a plan, which is usually sitting somewhere collecting dust. Now, a business plan and a marketing plan are not mutually exclusive, right? There are some overlaps, but the marketing plan is mostly focused on the marketing aspect, and the business plan is more of an umbrella type of plan. Another trap that we fall into, like you mentioned, is people think because they have a plan, they're all good. That, oh, I have a plan. I'm good. I got this figured out. But the trap that they fall into is that they don't check in with the plan. They don't check the KPIs, the goals, what is important, what is not important. And that's why they don't see results as a result of all that.
It's like a roadmap that you never look down to see where you are on the map. Oh, Mustafa, don't worry. I have the map. I know exactly where we're going. And then the car just goes wherever it wants to, and no one is ever checking the map.
No checking in. I always bring up the analogy of a plane flying from Toronto to LA. And you see, the plane has that software that is constantly checking in to see if it's en route, right? And then it's not going to go zigzag, like go up to, north of Canada, then go down to Florida, and then halfway through be like, oh, we were going to go to LA, right? It is constantly checking in to see if it's actually implementing and en route to the destination. And that's why I use that to say, your plan is always the same. Your goal is the same. You should constantly, on a daily basis, check to see, all right, what am I doing to, get there?
For sure. Now, let's talk about different kinds of marketing plans, because of the really cool thing with you and what your company is doing and what your program does. I think you're like the Apple computer of marketing plans. And remember, Apple, one of the old campaigns back in the day was, this is the computer for the rest of us. This is the one that's accessible. This is the one where you don't sit there, scratch your head and figure out what the heck am I looking at and how does this crazy thing work? So you are the popularizer and the democratizer of marketing plans. Talk about when people come to you and they work with you and they say, oh, Mustafa, I created this marketing plan, last year, or I hired some other consultant and here's my marketing plan. And they pull out this like 80-page monster. What does that mess look like? And then what does the streamlined, simplified, usable, tangible, tactical version look like? And how are they different?
So, like you mentioned, some people go through a program, maybe when they're a startup or they work with a consultant or a company and they develop that plan, which usually is sitting somewhere collecting dust or it's lost in a computer folder because it's so big, it's so massive. And maybe it has too much details. That's why we don't use it on a daily basis. So what we do is we try to consolidate and simplify everything into a one pager so we can put it in front of us on a wall and check in on the plan at least every Monday morning. And then we check on the KPIs every day. So this is my plan. For example, one of our own main KPI that we're working on this weekend, this quarter actually, is the conversion rate at our event. Okay. We want a KPI of 30% conversion. So everything and anything that we do this quarter must contribute to that KPI, right?
Yeah.
Or at least that gets done first on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Everything else becomes secondary. Now, then we go through and on a one pager figure out here are the things that we are going to do to reach that KPI. That way we make things simple. Here is the most important, the biggest bottleneck, if you will, or the biggest thing that I want to achieve. And then what do I need to do on a daily basis to get there? So the KPI is like on a sticky note in front of me, right on my monitor. I see it every day. Check in every Monday morning to set the plans and the sprints, as we call it in the Agile Scrum system. And then that way we simplify things. We actually get things done. And then by the end of the quarter, we track the numbers and figure out, you know what? The way we set it up, it actually worked. What do I need to adjust, optimize, improve, or change to help me reach my next quarter's goal, and then in turn, reach our annual goal?
I think it was Dwight Eisenhower, back when he was a general, before he was president, he said, plans are useless, planning is priceless. So the end result, the piece of paper, it's like, well, I've already done the thinking. Here's the plan. The piece of paper itself, that's not worth anything. The thought process that brought me to that piece of paper is what's priceless. And then, like you say, I can start looking at metrics. I can start ticking off progress. I can start seeing where I am on that roadmap. Give me a quick idea of when you walk people through the planning in order to create the plan, what should be in their mind? Because I know there's a jumble of, let's look at very high level things like strategic, then there is tactical, then there is sort of implementation, and then there is literally day by day action steps like micro actions. Like, well, this morning I have to send out our email that goes out to X number of thousands of people. I would like my open rate to be at least 18%. And I would like my click-through rate to be that's very tactical, technical kind of stuff. Eventually you say, well, I would like this campaign to get 300 people to our event. Out of those 300 people at our event, I would like 30% conversion, so 90 buyers for our back-end program. Tell me, how do you sort this out in the entrepreneur's mind to separate the strategies, the tactics, the action steps, and just to kind of clear the fog so they can get a little bit of white space and sort of start with a clean slate and really think, what does my marketing look like and how am I thinking about it the right way?
So this is one exercise that we do during our workshop, and that is we actually draw the funnel, we map it out step by step. So we got to figure out what's happening in our business. Then what we do is we try to identify the bottlenecks. What is the biggest bottleneck here? Is it my lead generation? Is it the conversion? Is it after? What is happening? Now, once we identify the biggest bottleneck or the biggest problem, that becomes the main thing that we've got to fix or solve this quarter or this month. Then the question is, have you read the book, The One Thing with Gary Keller?
Yes.
So the question then is, what is one bottleneck that I've got to fix so that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary, right?
Yeah.
This is the biggest thing. And then if we don't identify, here's another piece to bottlenecks. Any improvements or optimizations that we do before or after a bottleneck is absolutely useless. Because let's say that in my funnel, I get a 30% conversion rate overall, but there's this one step that gives me 5% conversion, right? If I go before or after that 5% conversion step, it's just a waste of time, resources, and money. So I have to fix the biggest bottleneck first and then go to other things. So then we set up and try to figure out what are the projects, what do I need to do to fix that bottleneck, and then whatever needs to happen after to get that fixed.
Hey, good looking. Are you currently getting paid to speak? Would you like to ramp that up? We can help. Book a confidential speaker strategy call with our team at doitmarketing.com/call, and let's see what we might do together. The call is free, but the results may be priceless. Here's another question about some entrepreneurial confusion, especially in our community of trainers, coaches, consultants, experts, speakers. They say, well, Mustafa, this all sounds great, but right now I'm heads down working on my book. Right now I'm heads down working on my online course. I've got some big time consuming project. So I don't know about marketing and sales and KPIs. Can I take a break from that while I'm writing my book? Can I take a break from that or focus elsewhere while I'm creating my online course? I think I know what your answer would be, but how would you advise that expert or that consultant who's got a big deliverable project like a book or a course? How should they look at their marketing plan during that quarter?
So we got 6 steps in our one-page plan. Number 1 is your goal. Number 2 is your target market. Number 3 is your offer. You got to have an offer.
Yeah.
Then we work on setting the systems and processes for lead generation, lead conversion, and client retention. Find prospects, convert them, and keep them, right?
Yes.
Now, again, the next question, say for lead generation is, what is one lead generation strategy that I got to work on this quarter so that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary,
Yeah.
right? What is one lead conversion strategy that I got to work on? What is one client retention strategy that I got to work on? One of everything. Now, if the book falls into that one question, we focus on it. If it doesn't, it goes down further on the list until we get to it. For example, if the book is going to be my main lead generation lead magnet, right? Then I'm going to put all of my time on it, spend a week or 2 or 3 or a month or 2, get it all out. And here's another one for books. Publish the first chapter or 2 of the book and see if people will buy it, if they will opt in. If they do, that's a good lead magnet. You tell them you're going to deliver it, the rest of it within the next few months. But if they don't get it, then you don't have a winner. Another trap people fall into is they spend a year or 2 writing a book, publish it only to figure out a few years later that it actually is not going to work. So get the first couple of chapters published and written, edited and polished and make it look good. If people get it, you promise the rest of them in the following year, right? And so the question becomes then, is this my number one thing that I have to do? And if it doesn't, we focus on the number one thing. And once that is done, then we get to other stuff.
So we're using the big project in one of those 6 categories, one of those 6 phases. It's not separate. It's not off on an island. We integrate that into our business, and then we keep that project going if it proves out to be popular and converting.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, there are some people that are listening to us that say, well, Mustafa, this all sounds great, but dude, listen, I have an offline business. I don't do funnels. I'm not doing Facebook ads. I'm not doing all this online marketing. I'm a consultant. I go out and I work with corporations and I'm on Zoom calls all day long and I'm doing, traditional coaching, executive coaching, group coaching. Should I have a funnel? Do I have a funnel that I'm not aware of? Or should I do traditional kind of online marketing in addition to my offline coaching, consulting, training, etc.? In other words, if someone is not doing the traditional kind of online marketing like you and I are doing, do you recommend that they do that? Or do you recommend that they adopt some of those strategies, same strategies, in the offline world?
So I always recommend to map out the process, whether it's online or offline.
Okay.
Like some people just don't like online. They are doing their, word of mouth stuff. And that's all fine and dandy as long as it's working.
Or they're prospecting on LinkedIn and connecting with people
Perfect.
via email and phone calls and Zoom calls.
Yeah. So my suggestion is my process is always map out the process so you know what happens.
Yeah.
So you can identify bottlenecks or areas for improvement, and you have a system and a process in place. And that becomes your funnel, whether it's online or offline.
Yeah.
Because our world, in the service world, everything that we do is invisible, right? But by putting everything down on a piece of paper, we make it a tangible thing. We could look at it. It becomes crystallized. We could actually see what is happening. Then I could pass it out to my marketing guy. Then I can pass it down to my team members and say, here is how we do things,
Yeah.
right? And then we could be like, you know what? Step 2 and 5, we need to change them. so that I do step 5 first and then do step 2. So we can run tests, right? Otherwise, everything is up in the air. And once it's up in the air, you know what happens, right?
Right.
We can't improve it and the rest of it. So to your question of funnels, whether it's online or offline, my system is map it out, draw it out, see what happens, and then we can improve it and then take it from there.
I love it. Okay, so we're gonna come back to some of those things. I want to kind of go behind the curtain. I want to kind of figure out the Mustafa story, the empire, how you built this, where you started. Because right now you've got courses, you've got events, you have all this fantastic material. When you started in this business, was it just you? Were you doing one-on-one coaching? Were you doing consulting with entrepreneurs? Kind of how did it start? And then how did it evolve? And then let's talk about how you're scaling it with the events and the courses and all the other cool things that you're doing.
Absolutely. So 11 years ago, I started Persyo Marketing, which was a digital marketing agency. And what we did was we were trying to serve everybody and anybody. And we did everything in our power to do everything for them. And a few years later, I found myself in a position where I was frustrated. I was anxious because the fact that we were not known for any one thing. We were trying to be everything to everybody. I started losing customers. I had a hard time establishing myself as an expert. Then I read 2 or 3 books that really made a massive impact in my life and my business. First one was 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. Now, Peter Thiel was one of the co-founders of PayPal. And in that book, he says, competition is for losers. And I really felt like a loser, right? Because I was in a hyper competitive environment where I'm competing with people in my city, my province, in my country, other countries, Google, Facebook. It's crazy. I'm like, all right, that makes sense. And then I read the book, The 80/20 Principle. It's like, you can't be known for everything. You got to focus on the stuff that actually works. Then I read Essentialism by Greg McKeown. So anyway, these 3 books really helped me to get my thinking together and helped me realize that I wish I read these books 20 years ago, right? So what I did is almost overnight, I dropped the agency services. And I said, you know what? I want to specialize in one thing and be known for one thing. Then I came up with Simple Marketing Formula, which is the 80/20 of marketing. These are the 20% that actually provides the 80% of the results. So that's how Simple Marketing Formula came to existence. And then I decided to just stick to one group of people and specialize in one thing. And right now, I specialize in helping coaches and consultants create and implement their one-page marketing plan in 3 days or less. There are a lot of things that I could do, but I cannot claim to be really good at 12 different things. And I cannot be known for 12 different things. I can only be known for one thing and take a position in people's minds and in my audience's mind for one thing, not 2, not 1.5, one. So that's the story behind where I am today. And then, so once we started Simple Marketing Formula, I started developing other courses, and then our program started shaping over the years. And here we are today.
And tell us about the events, because you do several events a year. How did you get started in events? How did you kind of master having a fantastic event experience for your folks and then inviting the right people to a next step relationship with you?
So Simple Marketing Formula was 6 weeks long when I first started. So I ran it quite a few times over the years, and then COVID happened. Then when COVID happened, we realized that people need marketing now more than ever. So I was like, you know what? People are staying at home. A lot of businesses have lost revenue or they need to survive. And they probably have time to stay and attend the course for 6 days instead of 6 weeks. So I started running Simple Marketing Formula back to back for like 8 or 10 weeks, every single week. Now, that did a few things. I had the opportunity to serve and support a lot of people. That gave me the chance to improve and optimize my course and the delivery massively. And now we actually deliver it over a 3-day weekend. That's the evolution of the fact that I ran it so many times back to back was probably the best thing that happened to me, because I had the opportunity to get feedback to optimize it and improve it. Because if it was a 6-day format, 6 weeks format, I could only run it a few times a year. Now I could run it every single weekend if I wanted to.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Let me ask you this, because I know my clients do this with me, and I'm sure your clients do this with you. They see all this amazing stuff that you're doing. They see, oh my God, Mustafa's doing this, and he's got this going on, and he's got all these courses, and he's got, he's on podcasts, and he's doing this. And they say, should I do what you're doing? Like, should I be on podcast? Should I have a course? Should I do a 3-day event? Should I? Because of course, you as the coach, you as the mentor, they also say, well, maybe this is the model. And what I tell people when they ask me this, I say, no, you don't understand. I'm not trying to make you a mini me. I'm trying to make you a maxi you.
Yeah.
So my business model, my marketing methods, my strategies, they work for me because I'm at this stage and phase of my business.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you what you should be doing at phase 17 if you're at phase 5.
Exactly.
So how do you calm down these coaches, consultants, speakers, and trainers and diffuse that fear of missing out? I should do everything Mustafa's doing. He's so smart. He's so successful. I want to do that too. And then the whole marketing plan goes to hell.
Exactly. And that's a typical question and a great question. And the answer is you got to build up, and it takes time to build up, right? I've been in the marketing world for 11 years now, and I just recently started my podcast. And all these courses that we deliver, it has taken quite a few years to build them, right? When people are starting a course, I say, just practice delivering the course. Don't worry about building a massive mastermind program on the back end, right? Focus on delivering this a few times, optimize this, right? And then slowly start building other things into it. And here's another trap that people fall into is that they wait on years, a year or 2 or 3 to build a mastermind program so that they could launch it. I'm like, no. Run with what you have right now, right? Like you said, it has taken us quite a few years to build up to where we are. I didn't start with a mastermind program, a podcast, a one-on-one coaching program, a whole bunch of other courses in my library. It took time. So
Right.
I guess the short answer is run with what you have, optimize it, and build into it as time goes by.
What a great episode. Wowza. Tell you what, if you want to ramp up your revenue as an expert who speaks professionally, you should really check out our free online training at doitmarketing.com/webinar. You and I had a previous conversation where you shared with me one of your favorite books of all time. And this book is also featured on your blog and on your website. Talk a little bit about working with the law and what were some of the magic concepts and principles that you got from that book.
So working with the law kind of is, the author is Raymond Hollywell. And I think I got the idea to read the book from Bob Proctor. And the book kind of explains how the world works in ways that even though I've read it 7 or 8 times, I still can't explain it. But every time I read it, I'm like, oh God, this is so great, right? It helps me understand how the world works. And there are 2 books that when I read it, I was high on the information that I read. Working with the law was one of them. I was like walking around the house, I was whistling. I'm like, oh, this is so good. This is amazing. The other one was Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. And when I read that book, I was also high, running around whistling, and I was all happy.
Right.
But it's an absolute must read.
2 excellent recommendations. So little, again, behind the scenes kind of fun, what's going on in Mustafa world. What are some fun hobbies? What's a surprising fact? What are some mysteries behind the scenes that maybe most of your clients and friends don't know about you?
I'm a nature lover. I love mountains. I'm a skier. I'm actually a level 2 ski instructor, and I teach for fun as a volunteer. And so mountains and nature is like something I can't get enough of.
Totally fantastic. Really love it. Well, as we're wrapping up here, I've got 2 final questions for you. The final question is, where can people go to get connected and stay connected to more Mustafa brilliance? But even before that, if people were to take one idea from our conversation today about simplified marketing planning, focus, KPIs, the entire philosophy that you share with your clients and your audiences. What do you hope that one central concept would be?
Simplify, simplify, simplify.
That's 3 concepts, but it's the same concept. You need to hear it 3 times.
Yes, I'm all about simplicity and community. So the concept is simplify your stuff and work with the community to get things done. Because
Yes.
in our lonely entrepreneurial world, it is difficult to have the motivation and the energy and the juice to get up every morning and just keep going. But once we do it with a group of like-minded individuals who have either been there before or are experiencing the same thing, the support and accountability that comes with that, along with simplifications, increases your chances of success at least 10 times.
Oh, yeah. It's a huge quantum leap that you're talking about. That's exactly right.
Versus I'm alone. I am poking around at 12 different things at any given time. Nothing is working. I'm overwhelmed. I'm anxious. I feel depressed from time to time, and I experience daily setbacks, right? Going to, here is one thing that I got to do. And I will actually work with a group of people that will we support each other and things actually get done.
Right. Totally
I don't have
different
to figure
universe.
everything out on my own.
Right. I love it. All right. Well, this has been absolutely fantastic. So brilliant. Mustafa, where can people go to get connected and stay connected to you, your resources, your website, your training? Where can we send people? And we're going to put this all in the show notes directly under this episode when you go to thespeakingshow.com. So where can we send folks?
For sure. So my website is persyo.com. That's P as in Peter, E as in elephant, R as in Robert, Sam Yoga Omega.com, persyo.com. That's where you could sign up for Simple Marketing Formula. And right now, for a limited time, you could get a complimentary ticket to the workshop. Come experience simplicity makes for your business. Hang out with us and then see what that will get you. I'm also on Facebook and LinkedIn. If you search Mostafa Hosseini, I pop right up and would love to connect and have a conversation. And I love one-on-one meetings, whether it's on Zoom or face-to-face. I'm a social butterfly is what they call me. I like to hang out with people, bounce off ideas and see what will transpire. And another thing I love is masterminding. It's my absolute favorite thing to do. Hanging out with smart people like yourself.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to have all of that in the links, in the show notes. Mustafa Hosseini, you're a rock star. I appreciate you, my friend. So great speaking with you. Thank you for being on with us.
Thank you. Likewise, great to be here. I appreciate your time and the opportunity to share the message. Thank you.
Well, that wraps up another episode of The Speaking Show. Hey, tell you what, if you like us, rate us and review us on iTunes. Subscribe. Tell a friend. Go grab the notes and downloads and extras at thespeakingshow.com. See you next time.